Well, happy Tuesday. We are back in the saddle after having been out for a little bit um, due to a little bit of a medical issue, but we are back on track. And so it's good to be back for Tuesday motivation and conversation. So, of course, I want a few things have still kind of been flowing and going on. So I definitely want to jump in to that tonight. I want to talk a little bit about personal and professional clarity. And of course, clarity coaching is what I do, as well as a strategic management consultant. So I help people to get clear, and then I help you to do the work after you've gotten clear and you have a clear focus on what it is that the trajectory of your project or objective or goal is. And so tonight, I kind of want to we've talked about, we started at the first of the year course talking about self work framework. And one of the components of moving forward is with that is it helps you to get clarity. And so we've talked about that five-part self work framework being self reflection, self awareness, self knowledge, self direction, and then self leadership. And so it's all about getting us to a place of extreme clarity for ourselves as individuals, extreme clarity for ourselves as professionals, whether you're in corporate or you're an entrepreneur, as well as, helping you to get to that place of making good decisions um, with utilizing your clarity, both professional and um, personal. And when you have both of them, they intertwine and they work together. And so the personal clarity you have spills over to your professional clarity, and it helps you to continue to be well-rounded. It increases the authenticity of who you are. It increases your confidence, and it helps you to be extremely clear in your communication because you have clarity. And so I want to jump back into that discussion tonight, and then let you know about some things that are coming up here this weekend and going forward. So I'm going to start with, of course, just a few areas. So I want to talk about three areas that I think are definitely the most important for me. And then I want to talk about the personal perspective and the professional perspective of clarity for those areas. And then we will be ready to move forward. So um, I think the last time I was on the platform, of course, I was on with three other colleagues, and we were talking about a collaboration event that's coming up. And one of the pieces of this particular event is going to be, clarity. And of course, during those types of sessions, I can get in quite a bit, but not everything. And so I thought I could share a few points tonight. And then, of course, I'm going to share some things in that upcoming event. And then, especially when people are, determined or they decide that they're going to be a client for whatever it is that they're endeavoring to do, more clarity comes because you have that opportunity to sit with me one on one. And so we assess where you are and the things that are happening, and we try to determine uh, what level of clarity is needed, what gaps need to be filled relative to where you are at that point of clarity and where you need to be or can be. And so, three of those areas are having um, professional and personal clarity helps us with having good direction and purpose. That's knowing our why and knowing our what. And then we have number two, which it helps us with effective decision making and reduces overwhelm. A lot of times we're overwhelmed and having anxiety and things of that nature because we're not clear. And so when we're not clear, it makes us nervous, it makes us anxious. Um, we're indecisive because we're not sure if we do this, we don't do that. And oftentimes that's because we have not counted the cost. We've not considered all components of what we're dealing with, whether it's a good situation, bad situation, or whatever it is. When we're clear, we can make decisions better, and you make decisions based on the knowledge you have about who you are and what your current circumstance or situation is. So that's number two. And then number three, we're going to talk about increased confidence and resilience. That is the ultimate. When you have both personal and professional clarity, it increases your confidence and it increases your resilience. And so, I want to kind of just talk about these for a little bit, and then we'll come back and we'll go a little bit deeper. So, the first one is personal clarity and professional clarity. So these two together are a powerhouse. And so there is so much power in being clear. It changes the trajectory of your life, and it shifts how you deal with friends, family, professionals, colleagues, so forth and so on. Personal clarity, when we have personal clarity, we understand our core values. That's when you really understand what your core values are, what your passions are, what your strengths are. Um, you know what matters to you. That is clear to you, and you are solid on that. So, with having that understanding, this acts as a compass. And so it's guiding our decisions and it's guiding our actions in all areas of our life, right? So that's relationships, that's health, that's hobbies, it's personal growth. When you decide to do things, and I've seen people make decisions relative to personal growth and things that we endeavor to do because someone else did it, or because if I get this, that, and the third degree or certification or whatever the case may be, that's going to bring me clients, that's going to help me to start my business, and it's going to take off. True, maybe not, because you have to be clear about what you need for you. What works for one person may not work for the other person. So you have to really be clear about what you need for you. And when you're making these decisions about things that you're doing, that is what you need to do for you. So without this internal compass, though, we risk drifting aimlessly, pursuing goals that don't generally align up with our authentic self. That's the whole thing. Getting to that integral part of you. Who are you authentically, right? What drives you? What's your passion? So this needs to be a part of that landscape. So this is, leading to a sense of emptiness or unfulfillment. And a lot of times we get caught up in that whirlwind. And so we're unfulfilled. We don't feel like, we've done the things we needed to do. We haven't achieved anything. And so we're looking for that success that's, we want, but it's not occurring because we're making decisions without clarity. So, um, you know, it just helps us fundamentally to be in a place of making better decisions when we have personal clarity. So our direction and our purpose is on task. So you always want to ask yourself, what truly makes me happy and what gives my life meaning? What causes me to be fulfilled? Because when you can answer that, then if you can answer that and answer it and articulate it fluently, you're pretty clear. If in fact you cannot, then you're not clear. And you want to kind of do some self-reflection. That's a part of that self-work framework, and develop a strategy for you to understand that. Then let's talk about professional clarity when it comes to direction and purpose. We know that this really, really matters here because similar to personal clarity, professional clarity means that we know what's the career goal, what is the thing that we do, what kind of work truly energizes us, that makes us tick, that that gets our wheels turning, that impacts us, um and also the impact we want to make on others. What's the ideal work environment? Is that self-employed, is that an entrepreneur, is that working in corporate? Because not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. So some people have a desire to do nonprofit work, some others, you have all these various opportunities and industries. So it helps you to identify roles and opportunities that align with your skills and your personal values. And that's always going to be important. So, without that, you may find yourself in a place where, you're working long hours, you're not satisfied, you're unfulfilled, you're just trying to pay the bills and you drain, your energy's gone, you lack purpose, you don't know where you fit, you're dissatisfied, and it leads to burnout. So with clarity, you can make an informed career choice, career decision, whatever that is, and prioritize your tasks that move you forward and towards your objective. And then you can articulate your value effectively. And so that's important. So I think when we start there with direction and purpose and having clarity relative to who we are personally and who we are professionally, and ensuring that those two line up, it will help us make good decisions off the top. Then we come to the piece of effective decision making. So when we're in the right place and we're doing the thing that we really want to do, the next thing we want to be do is we want to be cognizant about the decisions that we make, and we want to reduce overwhelm as much as possible, because we can be in our ideal environment, doing our ideal job or our ideal business or whatever the case may be, but still we're ineffective when it comes to decision making, and we have a lot of overwhelm. And so we want to try to reduce that as much as possible. In other words, we want to cut through the noise, right? So we can have a lot of people in our ears. We can have somebody in our ear personally talking about this, that, and the other. Then we can have somebody in our other ear talking to us professionally, talking about this, that, and the other. And so if those two things are not aligned and you don't have clarity there, then it can create some issues, So there's so much going on, in the world. And so you have to think about so many different things relative to your choices. And you have to also think about the distractions that are going on and how those affect your choices, because they're always going to be distractions. So that personal clarity empowers you to make decisions with confidence and with conviction. So we have to consider what all is going on, what's the noise, what's important for us to hear, what's important for us to block out, tune out, determine what our choices are, and then what's a choice and what's a distraction. So when it's a choice, then we need to make a good decision. It needs to be an effective decision. And when it's a distraction, we have to figure out how we're going to dispel it and move forward. So there are a couple of things to consider there. But when we're clear on our values and our priorities, it becomes easy to say no to things that don't serve us, in our purpose. And then we can say yes to the things that really do matter. And that's what we want to be able to do, because saying no is nothing wrong with it. It is a complete sentence, and it's healthy as well. And sometimes it's necessary to say no. It's just like all money's not good money, right? And every, opportunity may not be the opportunity for you. And sometimes you have to say, no, I'm going to have to pass this time. And that's okay. So when we get to this place, though, it helps us to reduce decision fatigue, stress, and overwhelm, allowing us to really focus on, our time on our energy and on the activities that genuinely contribute to our well-being and our long-term fulfillment and or happiness. So it really helps us to prioritize what's important over what's urgent. And then sometimes it's not important or urgent. Those are the things you want to say no to, bye, go ahead, delete, remove, right? So having that personal clarity, because your space has to stay operative at all times. That's the goal that you want to have. So then we talk about professional clarity relative to effective decision making, right? So in this professional sphere, then clarity translates to making strategic choices about projects, about tasks, about opportunities. Because here again, this is a professional perspective. So that's about your business or about your job, or whatever your career path is. When you're clear about your role, objectives, and your company's vision, or your role in your company or your career path, you can prioritize effectively. And then this helps you to avoid miscommunication, and you can contribute more meaningfully to who you are and what it is that you're doing, whether it's in corporate or not. Um, and it just helps you to really walk with your head held high, because you can make decisions and you make them around a particular structure and a strategy. So here again, this is important. Why? Because it will lead to increased productivity. Because when we're clear about who we are and what we're doing, especially from a professional perspective, we can align our, the things that we're doing appropriately. We perform better. We can streamline things better. We establish a workflow that works for both you and the persons who are working with you. If you have a team, all of that works so much better. And you're not, operating out of stress and anxiety and all of these kinds of things. It causes for a better environment. But without it, you might be constantly reactive and not proactive, working on tasks that don't move the needle, and you're struggling with conflicting priorities, because then things start to pile up. And so it's like, I need to do this, but I also need to do that. So it definitely helps us to be more effective in our decision making, and it helps to reduce overwhelm when we have professional and personal clarity in this area. And then having personal clarity and professional clarity increases confidence and resilience. across the board. So, just having that clear understanding of yourself, it builds immense confidence because that's nothing, no one can take that away from you. No one can take that away from you. When you know and you're confident about who you are and the path you're on and what it is that you're supposed to be doing, that is the decision maker right there. That helps you to say yes when you need to say yes and no when you need to say no. So, um, you know, knowing what you stand for, and when you know what you stand for, you're less swayed by other people's opinions, and self-doubt can rarely get you caught up, right? So as they say, it can rarely get you caught in a headlock when you are clear about who you are, what you stand for. So these are those the inner strength that fosters that resilience, right? And helps us to get to that place, enabling us to face challenges and setbacks and failures with a more positive and an adaptive mindset. And when you are resilient and you're able to adapt to changes and shifts and challenges as they arise, yes, that's going to happen. That's a part of it. That's life. That's how it goes. But you can learn from those mistakes. You can adjust your course. You can keep moving forward because at the core, your purpose remains clear and you're crystal clear about where you are, who you are, and what it is that you're doing. And then lastly, we have the professional clarity of increased confidence and resilience. Of course, this is, the professional clarity directly impacts, your confidence in your abilities and your career trajectory. So, whether you're in corporate and that's moving up, or whether you are a solopreneur and that means increasing your ability to scale and grow, it helps your business to grow, right? So when you're confident in your skills, your value, and your direction, you're more likely to be more articulate, communicate better, take calculated risks. That's a part of the process, but you are comfortable in taking those calculated risks and then pursuing growth opportunities. It's like you want to take those next steps because you're confident about where you are, who you are. And so that helps you to navigate, the workplace and handle difficult conversations, because there will be difficult conversations, and then you'll be in spaces that um, you'll be propositioned with different things, and so it helps you to overcome those professional obstacles. And so that's the place you want to be at, because this decision making process is so much better when you have both personal and professional clarity. And when you clearly understand your contribution, why it matters, it fuels your motivation and your determination to succeed, even if you are facing adversity. So it doesn't even matter if something's come up, there's something challenging that's on the horizon, you're good because you know who you are, you know what you are, you know what you stand for, you know what your core values are. And so this is the place, if you are not there, you can get there. And so sometimes it just takes going back to that self-work framework and doing some self reflection, first of all, and say, okay, what are my triggers and what are some of the things that I'm challenged with? Why am I challenged with those things? Have there been some traumas? What is it that I need to do to overcome that so that I can stand tall in this area and I can be bold about who I am and clear about the direction I'm going in and what it is that I want to do? Then that helps you to become more self aware. And so the more self aware you are, the stronger you get about your self knowledge, because you know how to manage you, which gets you to good self direction, which then culminates in the good self leadership. And so these are three areas that really shine when we have both personal and professional clarity. Our direction and our purpose is on point. We know our why, we know our what, our effective decision making, and we have effective decision making and we reduce overwhelm. We cut through all the noise, and we know how to make decisions and put things in their perspective places. And then it definitely increases our confidence and our resilience when we have personal and professional clarity. So I hope that this has caused you to think a little bit about where you are, what stage you're in, what are some of the things you can do to help yourself get there if you're not there. If you are, what are some things you want to do to improve upon that so that you can stay in that place? And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing whatever you've been doing. I know for myself, there gets to be times where I have to stop and do some self-reflection, and I have to say, okay, it's time to dial things back a little bit. Okay, Bridget, you need to look at that and determine, was that the best perspective there? Or is there a trigger there that you really didn't notice, off the bat? So maybe I have to go back sometimes and just reassess some things, and then evolve in my thinking so that I can continue to improve in those areas so that I can stay clear. Because while things change, the it's just like going to the optometrist, every year, and you get that eye examination. And so even if it's a ever so slightly change, there are slight changes that we need to make sure that our focus stays clear, that we remain clear, that those core values remain in effect, and we continue to do the things that we set out to do. That's going to be important. And so for those of you who are in the DFW Metroplex, and you have the opportunity this Saturday. There will be a Visionary Voices Impact Seminar. It's Empowerment Circle, a group of ladies. This is open to the public. Everybody, men, women, teens, young adults are welcome to register. There's still some spaces left. Registrations have been coming in. And so there's still a few spaces left, so definitely get your ticket. It starts at 10 a.m. this Saturday, July 12th, until 2 p.m. And so I am going to be on the panel, and I'm just going to share um, this so that you can see what's happening and where you need to go. So I am going to be on the panel with these other amazing ladies on this Saturday. Tierney Espinoza, Sean Foreman, and Sharice Reed. And it's going to be an amazing time. This is the opportunity to supercharge your productivity, future proof your business, transform your life, and unlock your potential. And so we're going to be talking about mindfulness, health and wellness, and we're going to be talking about confidence and clarity. And I tell you, this holistic view is going to be amazing for both men and women. And I have been personally engaged in with one of the coaches, Sean Foreman, and I tell you, she's amazing at what she does. A 20 plus year nurse, and as a result of flowing with this part on the wellness piece for me, I'm down 17 pounds. It has been amazing, and after just being educated and learning what to do and what not to do, it has been effortless. And so I'm telling you, a lot of things we stress out about, as it relates to weight and health and things of that nature. When we have the right information, we can do it, and we can do it with ease. So I invite you. It's only $47, $97 if you want a VIP and a free coaching session with one of the coaches of your choice. That could be me or one of the other coaches, depending on the area you want to focus on. There'll be some light refreshments there, and you can get registered tonight at the urbanecollective.net. Go to the website and get registered, or you can go to my website at bridgetmoody.com. It's on the home page. You can just click there, and it'll take you directly to the registration. Listen, grab your registration and bring a friend, whether that's your husband or a colleague or girlfriend or whoever that is. This is information I know that will help to make a difference. We're trying to encourage others to allow their voices to be heard, but sometimes we can't do that because we are not clear, we don't feel fulfilled, our minds are cluttered, and we don't feel strong enough mentally and physically to carry out the mandate that we feel has been given to us. It's going to be taking place at the Urbane Collective, and that's at 1301 Custer Road in Plano, Texas, 75093, and it will be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and it's Suite 822. Lovely facility. You're going to have an amazing time. We'll have some refreshments for you, and I'm telling you, you will definitely leave better than you came. And so if you do that, you'll be glad you did. And so we're looking forward to seeing you this Saturday. Go get registered right now and tap in. It's only 4 hours, but I'm telling you, it's an investment well worth your time and well worth your resources. And I promise you, you'll get something that will change your life. I promise you that. And if it's just the education from the health and wellness coach that can change the trajectory, there are two tweaks that you can make. Well, three tweaks that you can make. And I'm gonna wait and let her share those with you. But if you make those three tweaks in your diet, I'm telling you, the weight will just come off, and it comes off effortless. So if that's an area that you're challenged in, I would show up just for that. Even if I still not clear, I can be a few pounds down and still work on my clarity. But we want you to be clear. We want you to have good mindfulness, good confidence, and we want you to be healthy. So listen, join us for the Impact Seminar Visionary Voices this Saturday and in Plano, Texas. If you're anywhere in the vicinity, we'd love to see you. Go get your tickets right now. They're going fast. I mean, we were in session last night and they were going while we were in session. So definitely get your ticket and come be a part this weekend, 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there. I'll see you back here next Tuesday for Tuesday Motivation